moment of silence and then stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please call the roll.
Frederick McCoy. Edward Canody.
Here.
Shay Bruce.
Here.
Julius Wiegand. Renee James.
Here.
Murray Davies.
Present.
Ryan Colton. Here. Kimberly Jackson. Arthur Hamilton.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Let the record reflect that Mr. Hamilton will be a voting member. Any additions, deletions?
Good afternoon, Jeff Gagnon, Planning and Zoning Administrator. Just for the record, I did hear from Mr. McCoy, from Mr. Wiggum, and also Ms. Jackson. All three will not be able to make it tonight. Additionally, unfortunately, Ms. James' term had lapsed, so although she was kind enough to be here tonight, she's a participant on all the items, however, she's not a voting member tonight. Also, we'll take note of Mr. Hamilton as an active voting member. For additions and deletions to the agenda, staff would like to request to move our last item, the new business, item D, before item B. And that was the only addition or deletion.
Any objections from the board? Okay. Number 4, disclosure by the board members and adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
Make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call.
Bennett.
Edward Canody.
Yes.
Shay Bruce.
Yes.
Murray Davies.
Yes.
Ryan Colton.
Yes.
Arthur Hamilton.
Yes.
Unanimous voting, motion approved.
Motion to approve the minutes from November 14th.
Chair,
Yes.
I think there's a correction to the minutes.
Okay.
It lists Ms. Jackson as absent, but under disclosure by board members to the agenda, she was here for a motion, so I think that needs to be corrected from absent to present.
Staff?
What we'll do, we'll go back and listen to the audio recording again and just verify.
Okay.
Do we have a motion for the minutes?
Make a motion that we accept the minutes with subject to the correction.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Call the roll.
Edward Canody.
Yes.
Shay Bruce.
Yes.
Murray Davies.
Yes.
Ryan Colton.
Yes.
Arthur Hamilton.
Yes.
Unanimous voting, motion approved.
Okay. Guess we're moving on to new business. Staff?
Yes, I'd like to introduce Brad Stein, Principal Planner for the city.
All right, good evening, Brad Stein, Principal Planner, City. Sorry about these mics, they're pretty loud tonight. We have a presentation here that we'll go through. Today we're looking at a site plan approval and a notice of proposed change to the development of regional impacts, which is considered to not be a substantial deviation per the Florida statute 380.06, development of regional impact. We're going to look at the location and the current zoning and land uses for that site, and then we'll look at the site plan. And there's 2 phases to the site plan. There's going to be phase 1 and phase 2. A little background for this particular DRI was it was originally approved by Palm Beach County, and this was approved in 1974 by Palm Beach County. The city then annexed the property in August of 1985. And then on December 1992, there was a finding of non-substantial deviation for a transmission tower that you can all see from 95. Again, on February 16th, 2011, for any board members that were around at that time, you may remember the compression station that came in, and that was also considered a non-substantial deviation to the development order for that current DRI. Today, what they're asking for is we're going to be looking at an amendment to that 1974 development of regional impact by changing condition that looking for approval to remove the restriction of limiting the fuel storage to a particular type of fuel, which is considered number 6 oil, which is on that original DRI, condition 14. The location of the property here is highlighted in red, and the little star is kind of the general area where the actual change will be happening. And then you can actually see, I highlighted this just to show you, for anyone that doesn't know, that this is where the new energy center, and then this is, it's not really directly related, but just so that you can see that where it is on the map in relation to the city. This is a little bit more zoomed in area of the current existing site. The area in blue is basically the affected area that we're looking at right now for this proposed change. The applicant is currently requesting to convert the existing fuel tank from the number 6 oil to ultra-low sulfur diesel. And they're going to make changes to the current existing tank by double walling and adding features for stormwater retention, fueling bays, some landscaping to the northwestern side of the property, and then in a phase 2 program completing a 25,000 gallon tank, and then expanding the fuel bays and everything for the phase 2. Again, the location of the property is down Port West Boulevard, which is this boulevard right here, and the address for that is 2400 Port West. The current existing zoning and future land use, the current existing zoning is IG. The current existing future land use is industrial. The site is currently, it's approximately 72 acres. And like I said, the existing uses is basically industrial with utility uses for the industrial. Can anybody hear me now? Is this better? Okay, great. So again, like we were saying, future land use, industrial zoning, general industrial. Just to clarify again, the proposed development will consist of 2 phases. There will be phase 1 and phase 2. You're currently looking at phase 1. And like I said, phase 1, the affected area is modifying the current existing tank and double walling it, and then changing out the fuel from number 6 oil to ultra-low sulfur diesel. There'll be an addition of a retention area, fueling bays, and a turnaround and drive aisles and everything coming in and out of the site. The proposed uses for fleet fueling, it's something that I'll let FPL explain if they'd like to a little bit more on that. I'll let them get into detail on that. The staff analysis for this, the proposed use is consistent with the future land use. The zoning regulations, the development will comply with the city's land development regulations. The proposed use is consistent with the comprehensive plan. The proposed use is compatible with the surrounding parcels and current uses located within that general jurisdiction. The landscaping is compatible with the city's land development code. Land development code. And parking and traffic is adequate, and parking has been provided in accordance with the city's land development regulations for that particular area. I want to go through a little bit of what the changes are again for phase 2. I kind of skipped over and went kind of fast, but so this is phase 2, and again the existing tank, then the additional 25,000 gallon tank. Then they'll be expanding the fuel bays, and then I'm kind of pushing over the dry retention area and modifying that area slightly. This is just a basic rendering of the landscape plan. Due to the nature of this site and the type of site that it is, all the landscaping is designated to the perimeter to be a buffer from that existing neighborhood that you see up there. That's that trailer association that is up there. There's really, it's really just the best location for the landscaping in this particular situation for this type of use. And then phase 2, it's really very similar, with some trees being located from the dry retention area over to the northern side. Staff's recommendation is approval of the finding that the DRI amendment removing the limitation to storage of number 6 oil, which is condition number 14 of the original DRI from 1974, does not create a substantial deviation to the approved DRI, and that the site plan amendment as set forth in the site plan dated January 24th, 2014, by John E. Schmidt and Associates, for the phases 1 and 2. Again, like I said, tonight for the applicant FPNL, we have Mr. Brian Seymour, who's with Gunster, and I'll let him introduce any personnel or anything like that if you guys have any questions for them tonight as well. Okay.
Thank you, Brad. Since they're, are you going to have them speak first?
I'll just introduce everybody. Yeah, I want to follow the record. I will be extraordinarily brief, especially for the board. My name is Brian Seymour with Gunster on behalf of the applicant, Florida Power and Light Company. We're happy to answer questions. I don't think we have a presentation, but I don't think we need to go through it. It covers a lot of what Brad just did. We do have folks with us here tonight in case you do have questions. Harley Davidson, the FPL project manager, Patty Early with Fleet Services, Sue Kine with engineering, Chris Hagan, our traffic engineer from Kinley Horn and Associates, John Schmidt, the landscape architect, and Josh Long, my planner. The main thing I just wanted to say is there are conditions of approval that are proposed by staff, and FPL has no objection to those conditions of approval, and we ask for your recommendation of approval this evening.
Thank you. We'll call you back up if there's any questions from the board.
Thank you.
Okay. Board comments. Mr. Hamilton, you want to start us?
I was curious about the fueling station. Is it basically restricted to diesel, or will it be natural gas to any vehicles coming before?
The fueling stations are for fleet fuels, which is set for the biodiesel. It's a new, it's called ultra-low sulfur diesel, which is 20% biodiesel. That's what's going to be put into these tanks, and that's what these stations would be used for.
Thank you. Ms. Davis?
Yes, I have a couple questions. Have you had it, how far is did you say there was a mobile home park nearby? Did I misunderstand what you said?
No, that's correct. There is a mobile home. It's probably within 1,000 feet further.
It's about 660 feet.
660.
Where is it in relation to?
Here, I'll go back to this. Here, let me use the laser. Okay, so this is the proposed site here. This is the tank, the trailer home. So as you can see, there's existing tank here right now. This tank ain't going, this tank is not going anywhere. This tank exists. It's just going to be modified. So this tank is the one they're modifying. This is where the mobile home park is right here.
And we are, talk about the trees. We are adding 82 trees in that area that you can see, which would add a buffer that doesn't currently exist to the mobile home park, enhancing the distinction that is currently there, making it a little better for them.
Okay, thanks. I have a couple more questions, not that I'm questioning your integrity or anything like that. I just don't understand, what fuel number 6 is. And I guess I'd like to know if are there any environmental issues and with all this stuff?
I didn't either. Number 6 oil, believe it or not, is almost exactly what it sounds like. It's a specific type of oil. It's a petroleum-based oil that in 1974 was how you powered your power plants. With new technologies and with FPL being a leader in renewables and clean energies, they're looking to change the way they manage their plants. With the natural gas coming in, the oil is no longer necessary on the scale that they had it, and so we're looking at different opportunities. This gives us the opportunity to actually shut down the storage facility in Miami and put this ultra low sulfur, I have to say it slow, ultra low sulfur diesel up here in Palm Beach County, which can be used in part for emergency situations as necessary, but that's how they want to run their fleet, so they actually have cleaner emissions. So that's really what this comes down to. So it's actually a cleaner fuel. There is the double wall containment changes the nature of things, but the environmental impact is non-existent. There's no adverse environmental impact.
Since 1974, the fuel tank is, I guess, for lack of a better word, been there. Do you all check from time to time to see if there's any leakage or?
Oh, yes, I'm happy to have someone from FPL confirm this for you if you like, but they're very, very careful. They're there regularly. Patty, who runs the fleet services, is best to answer the question about how they monitor things.
The EPA has mandated
Can you
inspections.
introduce yourself, please?
Oh, excuse me. I'm Patty Early, fleet fuel specialist. The EPA has guidelines and regulations on how often the tanks have to be inspected. This particular tank just went through an inspection. The tank was emptied and it went through an interior and exterior inspection a year ago. So it will be due to do another one of those in 10 years.
And what about the earth? Does the earth, do you do any sort of drilling to see if there's any leakage?
Being that this was a number 6 oil tank, number 6 is a very heavy oil. So it doesn't have if it leaks, you don't have a situation like you do if you have a gasoline leak or a diesel fuel leak. So one of the things that we will do as we're doing the construction on this tank is to do soil testing there.
And what was the condition that I think we're considering lifting a condition? What was the condition?
So, within the initial DRI, the Development Regional Impact that was approved in 1974, one of the conditions of approval says you can only store number 6 oil in those tanks or on the site. And so in order to accommodate a different, cleaner, better fuel, we actually need to remove that condition. Otherwise, we'd have to somehow store number 6 oil.
And what were the conditions that, I think I heard you say that
The conditions of approval?
Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
I can go through those, or if you don't mind, you can look at section I of the staff report that was provided, and those 4 conditions, 1, 2, 3, and 4 are the 4 conditions of the packet. Would you like me just to read that?
Please.
Okay, sure. So prior to obtaining building permits for any portion of Phase 2 build-out, FPL will obtain all required South Florida Water Management District approvals. Construction must be initiated within 18 months. This is a standard code that we always put in all of our, most of our site plans, obviously. A 2-year landscaping bond for 110% of the value of the landscaping and the irrigation shall be required for the installation of the landscaping. And that's another standard condition. And then the other condition is that all future advertisement must state that the development is in the city of Riviera Beach, or a fine for $500, which this is not going to be an issue for this. No problem.
Ms. James? Ms. Brooks? Mr. Colton, I'm sorry.
I have one question.
on slide SB1, if you would. I just have a question about it. You have a containment wall around the tank that you are proposing to build, or is it already there? It's being proposed to be built?
Right now, that tank is a single-wall tank, but when we do the construction to change this tank over to a light distillate tank, we will build that secondary ring around it.
And it's outside of the tank itself?
Correct. So
Okay.
that secondary ring will hold 110% of the capacity of that tank. So if for some reason that tank would leak or get pierced, the outer containment wall will hold the fuel.
Okay. Now, leads up to my second question. Since you have to build a containment wall is pierced, I'm assuming this fuel is not as heavy as the number 6.
Correct.
It's much lighter.
It's basically diesel fuel.
Diesel fuel. So it has the potential, if there is a leak, to go down in the earth. What containment is set up so if that does happen, you don't have contamination of water? Is it built? Is there a tarp that's going to be on the ground, or is there concrete on them where you build up? Is there something to protect going down?
The secondary wall, and maybe Dan, did you want to speak to this? Sure. We have one of our environmental people.
Okay.
Dan's introduced himself. One of the things that you'll find, what he's about to describe for you is the reason we now need the dry retention, because it does resolve some of that. And so what we're doing is putting some more impervious area in order to accommodate that, and that's why that dry detention pond is going to be there. But Dan, where do you go?
It's concrete, right?
Introduce yourself.
Yep. Hello, I'm Daniel Moritz. I'm with Florida Power and Light and Environmental Services Department. A part of the secondary containment will actually be on the bottom. It will be steel as well, so it'll have a steel bottom, and then the walls will go up along the existing tank. So any fuel that would leak into there would be contained within the steel barrier.
All right. Thank you.
No problem.
Ms. Brooks?
No problem. No questions.
Okay, I only have a couple questions. The condition 14 is the only condition of the DRI that we're changing.
Correct.
Okay. Will there still be number 6 fuel on that site?
There will be some currently, yes.
There will be, just in a different location.
Yeah, there are several tanks on the site. You can see on this that you see the 2 larger tanks that are there. Those two are going to remain number 6, at least for now. And as times change and things get different, that could change. If that does, that site plan amendment would need to come back through as well.
Okay. Question for staff. Since the DRI was approved by the county commission, does this have to go to the county commission for modification of the DRI?
No, just like the last one, the local municipality then is part of that DRI per the Florida Statute 380.06. So no, but what it does have to do is potentially get approval from the Regional Planning Council, which is Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council.
Okay.
And it's just typically a letter process that they would provide back to us.
Okay. I have no other questions. Okay, Ms. Davis?
Yes, the 2 larger, whatever they're called, that you store the oil in, the 2 large ones that you just mentioned,
What surrounds them to protect? Is there some surround material to protect them from leaking, or do they get updated, or have they been there since 1974? How does that?
They have been, and they get inspected on a regular inspection cycle as mandated by the EPA. They do sit in a burned area, so the earth is built up around. If one of those tanks would leak, it would stay in that burned area. Number 6 soil is very thick, so it's not like it's going to soak into the soil. It might soak down an inch or 2, but that would be all that would happen.
Thank you.
No other questions from the board? A call for a motion?
So moved.
What is the motion?
Motion to approve. Let me get it right.
There you go.
If you want to, you could read the request.
a motion to approve the site plan application SP 13-12 Florida Power and Light request.
Yes, I would actually, if you could, you may need to amend the motion to include the NLPC, right? The notice for proposed change to the DRI.
How about if we just read the request?
If you read the request, then they
Okay. All right.
staff report. exactly.
Mr. Colton, just read your motion to include the request, if you like. Or am I reading? No, right here.
Or this one.
Section B in the staff report.
Section B,
Correct.
an application from the city of Riviera Beach request.
No, A. You have to read A.
No. An application from Florida Power and Light Company, FPNL, requesting and finding that the removal of condition of approval number 14 from the 1974 FPNL Petroleum Storage Facility Development of Regional Impact DRI, which limits fuel storage to number 6 oil, is not considered to be a substantive division to the DRI and will not create significant regional impact on resources and facilities in the area, and approval of the amendment to the affirmative dated 1974 DRI to remove condition of approval number 14, which restricts storage of petroleum on the site to number 6 oil, and approval of an amendment to the retrofit of an existing fuel tank, a double wall containment system, a storage water detention pond, fuel and bays, landscaping, and a 25,000 gallon fuel tank at 2400 Port West Boulevard.
Second? Call the roll.
Edward Kennedy,
Yes.
Bishop Bruce,
Yes.
Maria Davis,
Yes.
Brian Colton,
Yes.
Arthur Hamilton.
Yes.
Unanimous voting, motion approved.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we're moving on to item D. We're going to go through the site plan first and tell the background and story through the site plan. And then in addition tonight, there's city staff for the public safety complex, and I'd like to introduce them tonight. We have Deputy City Manager Danny Jones. We have Public Works Director Brent Johnson. We have City Engineer Terrence Bailey, and we have City Building Official Peter Ringel here tonight also. So let's go through. So we have the site application from the city for site plan SP-14-01. Go through the location here real quick. This is a location map right here. As you can see, this is Blue Heron going east this way, west this way. This is Avenue R here. And you have 15th Street and 13th Street, and the complex sits in between 13th and 15th Street. and it's everywhere that's with these crosshatch marks. It's approximately 13.3 acres. The location of the site is 1481 West 15th Street. It's the former site of Gulfstream Lumber, which was approved in 2002 and built in 2004. The existing use is an industrial office and warehouse. The future land use is industrial, and the zoning is general industrial. The property to the north is an industrial complex. It's like Haas Engineering and some area to be leased for industrial use, and then immediately to the north of that is the large UPS facility. The property to the east is it's a transfer area for trucking and distribution. You can see multiple facilities use it. It's kind of a layover facility. And then again, additional to the south side off of 13th Street's industrial facility, also to the east. Properties to the west, you have Avenue R across the road, then you have a canal. Then across the canal, you have residential single-family use. Properties to the south along 13th Street are industrial condos with industrial uses in them, spaces to be leased. Go through the proposed development. The city is requesting an amendment to an existing industrial office and warehouse site that consists of 16.3 acres to modify the property and existing buildings to new police, fire, and public works departments, and just construct a new EOC, Emergency Operations Center. The main building consists of 122,700 square feet, which will be converted to that police facility, fire station, offices, and the EOC. The building located to the southeast side of the property will be converted to the new public works offices and maintenance bays. So I'm going kind of fast, so let me slow down. I'll point these areas out. Okay, so the area that I'm talking about for police, fire, and the EOC is this area, this large building here. Then you'll have the sally ports and everything, police, fire. You have all the general parking and everything for all of the city employees that will be using these areas. I actually, we're going to go a little bit deeper into the program of the building. Other city staff will go through another presentation to kind of, really expand on the program of the building and what the uses and stuff are. But just so that you get a rough idea now, like I was saying. Then the building to the southeast, as I was saying before, this is the public works area for the offices, and then for the bays and everything, and then additional storage areas. I'm going to read kind of a quick, go through the background real quick. The property, like I said, was originally built for Gulfstream Lumber. It was approved in 2002 and then built in 2004. Gulfstream Lumber, due to the economy, shut down that facility. And a company by the name of Global Energy United planned to take over the facility and use it for a solar panel manufacturing site, which didn't come to fruition. And then at that point, they ended up leasing out the property to Zachary Construction. Zachary Construction, ironically enough, is the one that's building the new FP&L Energy Center. I guess we're all connected in some way, huh? And through that, it was discovered that the building was for sale. The city had interest, the city pursued it, and the city purchased the property in November 7, 2012. The city now intends to renovate that building like we were discussing before for the particular uses for the police, fire, and EOC, and the southern portion is for the public works facility and bays and maintenance bays and storage. Staff analysis, the proposed use amendments to the site plan is consistent with the city's land development plan. The proposed site plan amendment is consistent with the proposed city's comprehensive plan amendment, which will be coming up later. We'll discuss that more in detail. Compatibility, the compatibility for the project is compatible with surrounding uses of industrial and the residential across Avenue R and the canal. The landscaping, the proposed landscape plan is really actually at about 85 to 95% completion now anyways. They're just going to be upgrading it and reinstalling any of the tree matter or landscape matter that needs to be replaced and updated. Parking and traffic is adequate. Parking has been provided in accordance with the city's land development regulations. Staff recommends approval of the proposed site plan amendment from the existing industrial office and warehouse site consisting of 16.3 acres to a renovated complex to accommodate the new police, fire, and public works departments. Again, in addition, tonight we have another presentation from city staff that'll kind of go over again a little bit more of the background and the program and everything of the building. So I will turn that over to Deputy City Manager Danny Jones. Let me pull that up here for you real quick.
Good evening, Danny Jones, Deputy City Manager, City of Riviera Beach. Back in December of 2003, the city investigated and made an offer to purchase the property at 1481 West 15th Street, the property that was discussed earlier. After the initial good faith deposit, the city provided or conducted some due diligence on the property and had staff research the facility, get appraisals for the facility, and conduct some basic and detailed and comprehensive building analysis. After the positive outlook from the due diligence, the city council amended the budget. There was an already established budget for a new public safety police facility and for a new public works facility. And those budgets were combined to make the purchase of this particular property and for the build out. So in March 2013, we closed on the property. The existing property consisted of 122,000 square feet, and it was laid out as shown on the screen. 20,000 for the office, 50 for the warehouse. There's a lumber facility there, 2 steel warehouse facilities, a shipping office, and a little small shipping receiving office. And this is an actual picture of those different facilities. I'll use the mouse here. This is the main building. It's listed as A. The receiving building is B. C and D, you can't see it on the screen on television. I don't know if we're being recorded. Okay, but there we go. A is the main building, B is the receiving building, C and D are the covered sheds, E is the open shipping and receiving area. And the entire 14 acres or 13 point something acres here is what was included in the purchase. After the purchase, the city immediately leased the property back to the current, the company that we made the purchase from, as they were in a contractual relationship to lease the property to Zachary. That lease is scheduled to end May of this year, technically April 30th. We take over the facility on May 1st, 2014. We've developed an RFQ for a request for proposal for an architect. That architect is now on board. The architect design group is a group that specifically deals with governmental entities and public safety facilities. That's their primary business, is to design governmental facilities and public safety facilities. ADG has interviewed all of the potential occupants of the facility. That would be the police department, fire department, and public works, and they've reviewed for best practices using technology for operational efficiencies. As you are aware, this is the exterior photos of our current police facility, which was built in the mid-70s. The city currently leases space from about 5 different locations throughout the city. This facility here is about 18,000 square feet, and we lease out an additional 20,000 at various locations throughout the city. The fire department and Works facility. Public Works facility is an older facility that was built in the 50s, late 50s, early 60s. They've outgrown that facility. During Hurricane Jean and Francis, some extensive damage was done and some repairs were made, but budgets were allocated for a new facility, and hence that's why we are moving forward. We move forward with the purchase of this particular building to adequately house and be able to respond to public safety needs and services throughout the city from a facility that can adequately house those services. More pictures from the Public Works facility. This you may or may not be able to read. It's a kind of layout of the space usage. In phase one, initially, the office space will be about 10,000 square feet. The maintenance space about 12,000. The warehouse storage space about 8,000 for a total of 31,000 square feet to house the Public Works facility. In phase two, it'll be the police department with about 67,000 square feet. The emergency operations center. Just to stop there for a minute, the city currently does not have a designated emergency operations center. And if you remember, during the hurricanes of Jean and Francis, City Hall and city services were severely hindered because of our ability to provide continuing services. Hopefully, with an adequate emergency operations center, we will be able to provide continuing emergency services and be able to operate the city on a continual basis out of this particular facility, the Emergency Operations Center, EOC. There will be an additional 3,200,000 square feet of shell space for a total of 102,000 square feet. The fire department will be located and put together in phase three, developed in phase three with 11,000 square feet for the office space, 5,000 for the apparatus bays, and 1,000 for storage for a total of about 18,000 square feet. I'll stop there if you have any questions at this time. Okay, we'll continue.
Chair.
Here is a conceptual layout.
Excuse me one
Yes.
second. Does anyone on the board have a question at this juncture?
Yes.
Mr. Hamilton?
I was curious, what will become of the existing fire or police or other sites? What is the plan for those existing sites when this particular site become activated?
It's yet to be determined what will happen with the police site, but it will require substantial repairs if it was to be inhabited afterwards, some upgrades, but that has yet to be determined by the city. At this particular time, no fires at site will be impacted, so the fire sites will remain operational. As you can see, the fire discussion was in phase three, and the timeline hasn't been established for the phase three section as of yet.
So for clarification, this particular district where we're in now, their particular police site will more or less move to the new site, and that site will be, as far as I'm understanding, be vacant. However, the existing fire station remain active.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other board questions?
Sure.
Mr. Cole?
Couple of things, just to elaborate a little bit more on the fire department. The site that's here, although in phase three, when it's built on the other side at 13th Street, will this site move, or what? Is that an additional to what's already in the city?
Yes, sir. That's an additional to what's in the city.
Okay.
Yes. This site, the proposed, or the current site for the fire department, the commitment from the executive level is that there will always be a fire station on this side and remain in this particular area.
Now, the second question to that, Avenue R, which goes down to Blue Heron.
Yes.
If there's a fire on the other side of Blue Heron, 28th Street, 29th Street, I think it's on that side of Blue Heron, how will this site get to Blue Heron without having to go up and turn around, or go down 13th Street through the neighborhood Congress and come back around?
We have outlined certain traffic patterns, and I'll let city engineer discuss that.
Yes, we've looked into the traffic
Introduce
circulation.
yourself.
Oh, my apologies. Terrence Bailey, city engineer for Riviera Beach. We've looked into the traffic pattern that you're describing at Avenue P and Blue Heron, one block to the east. There's an existing median opening.
Okay.
Off of 15th Street, we expect that the fire support will come up Avenue P, and we are moving the flashers from the Station 2, which is currently located at Barracuda. Move the flashers that are at Station 2 at Barracuda Bay over to Avenue P, so when that truck needs to, going northbound, exit, they'll hit the flasher, stop traffic, and be able to go left and proceed north. Similar to what they do now at Avenue, at the Station 2 site to get to the north end of the city.
Okay. Last question for now. The traffic impact for the neighborhood in 13th Street. Will there be a major traffic impact for that neighborhood going through the neighborhood right behind? I don't know the name of it, but 13th Street runs through the neighborhood. Federal Gardens.
Federal Gardens.
Is there a traffic impact that when that particular site is built will be an increase? Has there been a study for that? Because
there has been a traffic study, not specifically looking at the impacts to that neighborhood. It generally the traffic patterns for a facility like this will use the major roads. So Blue Heron Boulevard will be the primary access point, and being that this is directly off Avenue R, obviously eastbound traffic will come down Avenue R. There's no benefit from a time perspective going through the neighborhood. Additionally, if you're on the south side of the city, you would take MLK more likely to Australian up to the facility. Again, there's no advantage from a time perspective to flying through the city. In addition, just west of this facility on 13th Street, there's a chicane as you come over to Avenue S and get towards Suncoast, and there are two speed bumps that significantly slow down traffic. Again, there's no advantage of going through the neighborhood for whether it be fire support or police support to go through that neighborhood. There are plenty of other capacity and routes to get to this site going around the neighborhood and through the industrial park.
not for the city, but for residents who are coming to that facility? Isn't the parking lot on that 13th Street side where if a resident or visitors come in 13th Street would be impacted more with people coming to that site? Or is that not a site where you see residents going?
We would anticipate residents taking the same route, coming off of Blue Heron as the major funneling point to get there. If you're on the east of the site, there's a left turn at, again, Avenue P, which will get you down to 15th Street and you'll be at the top end of the property. Or if you're coming from the west side, you can make a right directly on Avenue R from Blue Heron. For all the times that we've traveled to the site, we've never come through the neighborhood. We always come from Blue Heron or 13th Street off Australia, depending on where you're beginning your
I
travel.
understand the Blue Heron. Will there be a turn lane now built on Blue Heron just to accommodate that? Just curious.
No, sir. There's not a turn lane on Blue Heron planned for this project. The trip traffic does not appear to warrant a turn lane. Understand, while this is a large facility, it is a police function, and most of the policing happens in the community, so the actual resident employees at the building is very different than what you would see in a typical office environment of this scale.
Similar to what we have here, the majority of the traffic travels down Blue Heron, Avenue H, into City Hall, to the police department, and probably less traffic travels through the neighborhood, through the rear of 29th here. And we've already received approval from the Department of Transportation for the cutout on Blue Heron Boulevard for the exit point and entry point, discussed by the city engineer.
Mr. Colton, any other questions? I have a question about that. So what you're saying is that there's going to be a cut in the median at Avenue P?
There's an existing median opening at Avenue P. It's a double left. So if you're coming eastbound in that northern lane, you can make a left. Unfortunately, there's nothing to turn into because the property is vacant on the north side there. And similarly, at Avenue P, you can make westbound, you can make a left heading south into Avenue P. So the median opening is there. There is a divider that will have to be removed so that you can make lefts going westbound out of Avenue P. But the median opening exists today.
I guess I missed that because it didn't look like there was a median opening at Avenue P. Because right now, the way the traffic pattern works is that all of the UPS trucks come down Avenue R, go east on Blue Heron, make a U-turn at Avenue P, okay, to go about their business. So, I mean, that's going to be, in terms of location of the facility, which, for the record, by the way, I think that's not a really great location to have a public facility from the standpoint of access and a lot of other reasons. But I mean, there's heavy traffic through there a few times a day.
There it is.
So you can see here on the graphic where you have the double left, and that.
I'm not sure what you mean by a double left.
You see the two sets of arrows, a left going northbound and a left going southbound at P and Blue Heron? That would be the double left. There we go, sorry. This concrete divider that would eliminate your ability coming out of Avenue P and making this left motion, which is what the fire trucks need to do. This will be the divider that will be removed, and the yellow lights will be installed to stop traffic east and westbound to let a fire truck come north and go to the west. Fire trucks will be able to come north and go east in a hot right scenario with no interruption of traffic, but they'll need this divider removed, which we have approved by the DOT, similar to what they have now at the Barracuda Bay Station, so they can make lefts.
How does the response get to Riviera Beach Heights?
Well, it depends on where the officer is responding from, sir. It depends on where the officer is responding from.
Well, let's say it's a fire and rescue.
Okay.
River Beach Heights. Is that on this one?
The neighborhood at the corner of 13th and S?
No, it's the south of Martin Luther, okay, and west of Old Dixie, that section in there called Riviera Beach Heights. I mean, it's like 1st Street, 2nd Street, 3rd Street, et cetera, et cetera.
In that location, we would imagine, because the fire station's on the north side, you would take 15th Street east to Australian and head straight south on Australian, or they have the option of coming to 13th Street and going all the way through to Dixie directly, depending on which route is more efficient for fire support, to get to the southeast quadrant of that region from this building. So either way, you would go 15th or 13th to the east, get to Australian. Again, the goal is to get to a major arterial, and then they'd head south, or they could continue on to Dixie and then head south. But you would still be traveling through the industrial park on 15th or 13th. Actually, 15th does go all the way through. So 15th, you'll slide all the way through to Dixie and head straight south.
It's a two-lane road.
On 15th.
15th.
13th is a three-lane road.
13th is a two-lane road.
13th is under construction right now, and in 4 months it'll be a three-lane road.
Okay. It is, yes, I noticed it was under construction. So, but all right, so it is a kind of a choke point with with truck traffic, industrial traffic, and so forth.
Well, keep in mind also, sir, Palm Beach County is reconstructing the intersection of 13th and Australian, and within a year, 14 months, 13th and Australian will be a signalized intersection. So that will no longer be a choke point and will be actually a through point with the 3 lanes and additional turn lanes and a signalized intersection at 13th and Australian for safety vehicles to be able to move through there more efficiently.
Okay. And that's within the 18 months, you said?
Yes, sir. Palm Beach County, the last schedule we received from them was September, October time of 2014. I'm being generous that it may lag until the beginning of 15 when they finish their construction.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Point of clarification. With the
Mr.
moving of
Hamilton.
With the moving of the signal from the Riviera location, does that mean that particular station that service District 5 is going to be closed? The fire station?
No, sir, that determination hasn't been made at this particular time. The fire department isn't scheduled to start until phase 3. It's not one of the initial phases that will be on this particular plan. If you go back and look, it's in phase 3.
But if you're moving the fire station signal from an existing fire station to Avenue P location, to me that's an indication that there may be a closing of the station. Excuse me, and if so, I was curious if the residents of District 5 have been notified. So.
The light relocation and median construction that we're discussing would happen in phase 3 as well when the fire station is constructed. There'd be no need for the light if the fire station in phase 3 is not relocated or is not added to this particular site.
Added or relocated?
Again, that final determination has been made whether we're going to add it or relocate, sir.
Chair,
Ms. James?
that just doesn't seem to be clear to me because you already know that you're moving the light, so you can't, is the station going to stay there with no light?
No, ma'am, the station would not stay there without a light. But in this particular plan, we have planned for the fire department to move, but it's not moving in this particular phase. If and when the fire department moves, it will be discussion and approval by the city council, and adequate notifications will be provided.
So just to be clear, there's not going to be a time where that fire station is going to remain there without a light?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Continue. All right. I guess that's where we are.
Yes, where we are is just the conceptual drawings, conceptual plan and site plan of the facility up to the, at the top of the screen here is the existing site plan and below is the proposed. Basically changing a few elevations and changing the front look of and the rear look of the facility. And this is a picture of the actual floor plan. If you would like any discussions on that. And this is the second story floor plan. Public Works renderings, the elevations. And the floor plan for Public Works. What our next steps will be is the site plan submittal as what we're here tonight, and to go back before City Council finalizing the cost estimates, providing an update to the council, and we will go into full design. And after that, an RFP for the development of the public safety construction will take place. The City Council will award the construction, and we will initiate the construction in the fourth quarter of 2014, and the construction period is anywhere from 12 to 14 months. That's the end of our presentation.
I have a question. I don't know if it's for this phase or other, but staff could correct me. But on the portion where it's planning and zoning, there's item number 4. It says, provide the schedule for trains entering and exiting the site from FEC. And we're saying here, response, a request has been made to the FEC for a schedule of trains utilizing the spur in question and shall be provided as soon as it is available. Then item number 10, we say rail spur in parking lot conflicts with parking. Please explain. And the answer is the existing rail spur extended into the site has been abandoned. So I guess I'm a little confused. If the rail's been abandoned, why do we need a train schedule?
Okay, so as you can see on this picture here, so you have the spur, which is what we were talking about as abandoned, and we actually provided that document in your packet. That's actually been sold, not necessarily abandoned. That property has actually been purchased from FEC, so this is the city owns this property.
Okay.
From here to here. FEC still controls this property. This is the portion of the scheduling that you were asking about a question for the schedule of the trains.
So they're going to still be using that property to send trains through there?
Potentially, but we're talking this is like one train a month, or the schedule is very limited. And if you want to expand on your request to FEC.
When this question was raised, we posed it to FEC, and we haven't gotten an official response yet. But to understand, this area, this track, this spur, services the Lewis Terminal throughout the whole area and all the railroad tracks. Many of the industrial facilities in that area have spurs similar to ours that tie directly to their buildings. The primary function of this section of track is to service trains that are associated with those buildings. So in essence, if nobody loads a car and nobody calls for the car to be moved, there won't be a train motion. So there may not be an actual schedule because it's an on-demand service to serve the industrial park. So the question is complicated and nuanced in that schedule may not actually exist. It's an on-demand service, and as Brad said, very rarely does a train have to come through here to pick up cars servicing the entire industrial park of the Lewis Terminal. And that train, that railroad track in there does not affect the city's operation and function of the property. As I said, the southeast component is Public Works and is self-contained on that site, and the northwest portion is Police and Fire. There is a crossing, as you can see in the graphic, for when we need vehicles or equipment to move between the two portions of the property, and it is fenced accordingly.
As you can see, the red line here, this is Public Works, which is totally independent of the police department, and the police department separated and totally independent of Public Works.
What are we going to do with the Public Works current location? We've invested in a site plan and a lot of work on that property to put a new facility there.
No final determinations have been made by the city, but we have had the property appraised, and it could be considered a shovel-ready project that we could market, but no permanent decisions have been made as how we're going to move forward with that property.
It was pretty common knowledge that the southwest portion of that is pretty well contaminated. From what I...
Not on the city property, to our knowledge, that property is not contaminated. We've had it tested and appraised.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the board? Mr. Colton, any other questions?
No.
No. Okay. Ms. James?
Question.
Go ahead.
You changed the zoning from industrial to community use. Does that impact the other businesses nearby at all?
No, not necessarily. Community facility is basically just the zoning that would be required for police, fire, public services like this.
So it's only public services, and the surrounding businesses, their zoning remains the same?
Correct. And I can speak on that on the next item, whatever that is, C or B and C. There's no problem.
I would like to add, ma'am, kind of to your question, the businesses in that area are excited about having a police presence in that area. As most of you know, that industrial area has more than 300 businesses in it, and we have a lot of vacant warehouse space that hadn't been rented for years. A lot of those businesses are excited about having a public safety facility in and around that area. And none of the slides have demonstrated, but right across the street, directly across the street to the south, the city owns a park there that we have a $5 million investment in the Dan Calloway Park in that area. So
Okay, Mr. Hamilton?
To piggyback on your question, that LBC schedule, will that be an annual schedule, periodic schedule? Because I know commuting there every once in a while, there's a train that flops astray going north-south. And it will flop astray, which at this time was 4 lanes for quite a bit of time. So is this schedule just a one-time schedule, which you think will be set in stone? Which I do not think so, but
The Center River tracks that you're speaking of is the same track as it arcs over toward the east is where it crosses Australia. So similarly, it's an on-demand schedule. Only when somebody calls for a car in the Lewis Terminal industrial area will the train come to pick up a car from a facility.
so after whoever received that notification will notify who will be receiving the notification, and what public entities will be notified of that train schedule.
The question was asked from community development, and that schedule will be provided back to community development.
I think we may have misunderstood your question, sir. What was your question again now?
The chair was indicating train schedule, and since I passed through that area, I know the train tend to interrupt and holds up traffic for a period of time. And my question was, who in the city will receive the schedule and then disperse that information to the public entities that need to know?
Well, right now, our plans was to provide that information back to the requesting agency, and that would be the Community Development Department. But if you feel that that's some vital information, we can list it on the city's website where we list all our other information.
Thank you.
I have a question for staff. So we're at vote on the site plan at this point.
Correct, and then
Correct.
we're moving to the rezoning and the land use right after this.
Okay. One question I have for you. This is a 3-phased project over a period of time. Are phases 1, 2, and 3 going to pass through the board here at any point in time, or are we, once this is approved, we're done with it?
The way it's scheduled right now is once you're approved, you're done with it because those components are already programmed into that site plan and everything. It's just phasing them and actually building them out.
Okay, what happens if there's some major alterations to, say, phase 2 or 3?
I mean, if it's a major alteration, it would be a large enough amendment, it'd probably have to come back.
Okay. Do we have a motion on the site plan?
I motion that we, do you want me to read the entire motion or?
Yes. Go ahead.
I can't tell you what to do, but
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
So there's no confusion.
Okay. Started with, because we started with D. So I motion to approve the application from, hold on. Let me just get to the right one, I'm sorry. Okay, motion to approve the application from the City of Riviera Beach requesting approval of the site plan amendment in order to facilitate the development of the City of Riviera Beach Public Service Complex located at 1481 West 15th Street, because we moved D up to B, correct? Is that where it is on the agenda? I'm going to make sure I'm correct. Okay. Is that okay? So we'll do one at a time.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Call the roll.
Edward Canuti.
Yes.
LaShae Bruce.
Yes.
R.A. Davis. Brian Colton.
Yes.
Arthur Hamilton.
Yes.
Unanimous voting, motion approved.
okay, so now we're going to move on to the second phase of this. There's really two parts to it.
Excuse me, before we move on, Chair,
Yes.
I would like to ask to be excused. I'm just not feeling well tonight.
You're excused.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your time. Thanks for coming in.
Okay, so
We'll just take a moment until Ms. James leaves. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So the second and third parts of this are going to be the rezoning RZ-14-01 and the land use change LU-14-01. And again, the city is requesting a rezoning of this parcel from general industrial to the city's community facility zoning. And again, it's for the new public works service complex for police, fire, and public works. And the basic explanation of that is general industrial allows for those particular uses that it's already at, which is the office and warehouse use, industrial office and warehouse use that currently exists. But community facility specifically specifies, where you're supposed to have public services such as fire stations, police stations, community centers, libraries, municipal services. So that's why the request is for the rezoning from IG to CF. And then, did you like to let's just do them separately. So staff recommends approval of the rezoning of parcels of the city zoning map from general industrial to community facility for the city's new public service complex for police, fire, and public department.
We have no public comments. Any comments from the board? Mr. Hamilton?
Just one question. When zoning gets changed from general industrial to what we're doing now, does it change height restrictions? Are the height restrictions maintained?
It really kind of depends on the compatible use. The height restrictions potentially could change, yes, but IG already allowed for 50 foot anyways. And CF, none of these facilities are going to be, go anywhere near that threshold.
Thank you.
Mr. Cole?
I'm good.
Ms. Brooks? Okay. No board comments. Motion to
Move that we approve RJ 14-0, an application from the city of Riviera Beach requesting approval of a zoning change from general industrial to community facility in order to facilitate the development of the city of Riviera Beach public service complex located at 1481 West 15th Street on 13.3 acres.
second. Call the roll.
May I have a question?
Go ahead, Ms. Brooks.
B, item B, because we only did D. So did we skip item B? Because that was not, I was going to continue with item B in my motion, first motion. So now we're at C.
Okay, well then that's my mistake. It's still, as long as it was clearly described that it was the rezoning, which is what was stated in the motion, I don't see an issue with it.
Oh, they switched it.
Another question.
Mr. Hamilton?
They be getting the sites mixed up. Was there not an area of 16.3?
It might have been a typing error. It should be 16.3 acres. Or 13.3, excuse me. So that was the typing error. So I see in the first report it does say in the size 13.3 acres, but then down on the site near the recommendation and everything, it was a typo to 16.3 acres. So again, the motion was stated properly at 13.3.
13.3, okay. We have a motion and a second.
Harry Canudi,
Yes?
LaShae Bruce,
Yes.
Mary Davis,
Yes.
Brian Colton,
Yes.
Arthur Hamilton.
Yes.
Unanimous voting, motion approved.
Okay, so I'm continuing on. Again, the city's requesting an amendment to the city's comprehensive plan, the land use map from industrial to community facility for the city's new public service complex for police, fire, and public works departments. Again, moving down, staff recommends approval of the proposed comprehensive land use amendment from industrial community facility for the city's new public service complex for police, fire, and public works departments.
No public comments. Any comments from the board? Mr. Hamilton?
No.
Davis?
No.
Mr. Golden?
No.
No.
Brooks? Okay. We have a motion? Do we have a motion?
Have a motion. So, to approve, I want to make sure I have it right, LU 14-1, an application from the city of Riviera Beach requesting approval of a comprehensive plan land use amendment from industrial to community facility in order to facilitate the development of the City of Riviera Beach Public Service Complex located at 1481 West 15th Street on 13.3 acres.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Harry Canudi,
Yes?
LaShae Bruce,
Yes.
Mary Davis,
Yes.
Brian Colton,
Yes.
Arthur Hamilton.
Yes.
Unanimous voting, motion approved.
Okay, so we did D, B, A, C,
No.
We kept
some order like that.
We kept the order. Under new business, the first item was A.
Okay.
That was followed by D,
Mhm.
followed by C, and finally letter B.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So get it done.
Okay, where are we? General discussion. No public comments. Okay. Gagnon?
No
Any
correspondence
correspondence?
received by staff.
Okay. Item C. Any board comments on anything?
Question
Uh,
on item number 3. Why do we have 2 dates for planning and zoning meetings?
I started listing multiple dates just to allow both the general public and board members to see the projected dates moving forward. Historically, we just had one, but that presented a lack of information, I felt, to the board and general public. So I've been listing 2 just to show the next 2 upcoming meetings.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, item 1.
Mr. Hamilton.
Yes, item 1, I guess I'll wait to go in depth further when Mr. Wiggum is available to attend. Again, he wasn't feeling 100% tonight, but he is feeling much better than before. He was actually honored at the city's MLK Day festivities as Senior Citizen of the Year. So he was able to participate in the parade, and he had his own vehicle, so it seemed like he had a very good time. When I talked to him today on the phone, he was very appreciative. So hopefully he'll be here next meeting, and he can say a few words about that. But I just wanted to recognize that so general public and board was aware of that.
Will you give him some kind of a award recognition when he's here?
Actually, speaking out of turn, Jeff nominated.
That was great.
I'll see what I can do.
Yeah.
I'll see what's been done, and I'll see what we can do.
Okay. Yeah, it would be nice to do something
Yeah, I
like
agree.
that, a presentation of some sort. Okay, project updates.
we have a couple site plans that are currently in process that haven't been finalized for next meeting yet, but we do anticipate at least one site plan at the next meeting on March 13th.
Is that the Ocean Mall?
I'm not anticipating the Ocean Mall on the 13th meeting. I'm projecting that closer to the March 27th date, just because we'd have to have the staff packet due really next week. So I don't think that's going to be 100% finalized to make it to the March 13th meeting.
What kind of progress are they making on it?
Substantial. There was discussion on the available parking spaces and how that relates to potentially increasing the square footage of the final building that has still yet to be built. So that's being worked out, and again, we anticipate that coming to the P&Z board on March 27th.
I know there was some concern at the presentation that they gave, Mr. Stein was there, by Johnny Longboats and Two Drunken Goats about parking for their staff. Okay, so that's something just to, keep an eye on. Now, I know that the CRA has leased the property across from Greater Gator, okay, and I guess that's going to be shell rocked or something initially.
Yeah, there's actually plans in progress now to improve the parking area behind the Greater Gator. Behind the Greater Gator.
Easy for you to say.
Right. By behind Greater Gator, I mean towards the south of that property. We turned around. But the CRA is actively working on that. So hopefully that will provide additional parking that would really be optimal for staff parking and sort of services parking, which would leave the parking spaces up front for their guests. And,
sure. Yeah. Yeah, I would think that would earmark that for employees and the better ones for, obviously, customers.
Right, yeah, so we're working through that, and there are limited parking spaces, but we're trying to make as much as we can out of it.
Can I ask a question about the Ocean Mall? Who's responsible for the landscaping now?
The GSF. There is a new leaseholder. Califuma was previously leaseholder. GSF is the corporate name of the new leaseholder. So I know that they've actually done pretty substantial landscape improvements. Were there particular items that you were concerned about in regards to landscaping, or was that just general?
No, I walk my dog every day by the Ocean Mall, and on the property that just north of, I guess it's next to the new 7-Eleven, part of the plantings were dead, and their pomegranates were there for probably a month. And there are cans and Coke containers, some kind of containers, in the landscaping itself. And also, it's where the Fine restaurant is. There's also the, right next to the sidewalk, but that hedge is just full of trash. I don't know who's responsible for it. But back to the Ocean Mall for a minute. What about signage? Is there any ordinance related to signage? I mean, Johnny Longboats looks like it has a temporary sign there. Is there any continuity of the appearance of how they're supposed to look?
The Ocean Mall does have specific design standards as far as wall signage. There's a certain percentage of the wall space itself that's allowed to be used for signage. It all has to be, I'm trying to think of the correct term, but the kind of, in my opinion, really ugly panel signs, which is just a 2x8 panel, those are not allowed, so it has to be individually cut letters for signage. I think I know what you're describing as far as, it almost looks like a banner type sign. Yeah,
So is that a code enforcement issue?
I think we can be friendlier than that at first. I think we can reach out to them and just ask what their time frame is about signage. I think that the question was posed previously, and I think that they did provide the time frame. But maybe we'll have to revisit that and see what the new time frame is.
And my other question is, I like ice cream. I go into Pop's Ice Cream, and it's really dirty in there. The ladies, the restroom is dirty. They don't wear gloves when they handle money and ice cream at the same time with that. They're just not very clean in there. So where does that help? Where do you guys?
Yeah, that is an unfortunate scenario because I also like ice cream. I think that starts to fall into the realm of health department.
That's the health department.
The sanitary aspect. I think they do unannounced site visits. I don't know the frequency of those visits, but it may be something that
You can call and complain, and they will go
you
visit.
might have to notify them, and maybe they'll do one sooner than later.
Okay, thanks.
Actually, I have to call that one reporter on Channel 3. She seems to get a lot of stuff done. I don't remember her name, Jan somebody. Listen, a little extra help never hurts. Okay, so we've got a meeting scheduled. Do we have a meeting scheduled for March 13th?
I'll say 95% yes.
Okay.
So
And the 27th is maybe.
I'm guessing we'll be meeting on both nights, but we'll see how it unfolds.
Okay. Any other board comments? Mr. Hamilton?
Thank you. I was curious if the staff receive any information on training for P&Z board members throughout the year. Since I'm the newest person up here and not necessarily the most experienced. And maybe you could get back to the board on that particular question.
So just
since state statute have municipalities across the state having P&Z positions on their respective municipalities, it seems like there might be an annual or periodic training that might be or conference where people from the board might be able to attend and enhance their knowledge.
Let me look and do some research and see what's available. I know there has been other board members previously that have inquired about educational opportunities. So maybe I can do something in memo form and see what's out there and report back to you guys.
Thank you.
Good. Any other board comments?
Just one.
Mr. Colton?
What my co-board member is asking about it would be the same thing that I asked when I first came on about the board that we could join, and is that the same or is it something?
From my understanding, the question that was just posed now is more of a general informational type of opportunities, but that's kind of what keep that thought in my head that previously there was one educational venue or avenue was discussed. So I think when I do list the opportunities, that probably will be on the list.
Piggyback on his question.
Sure, go ahead.
Would there be the possibility of the city, and that might have to go through the city manager, creating such event and notifying municipalities and seeing interest in actually hosting one here in the city?
I think in concept it's a great idea. My suggestion would be, as a board, make that request to the city manager.
Thank you.
Also a comment?
That's really a good idea because you could include the sunshine law and you could include ethics and that sort of thing. Having been exposed to both of those issues, I think it's a good idea. I mean, we're the most important committee in the city, and we make some pretty big decisions that impact the future. And if we're not educated, then we could very easily get ourselves in the pickle and the city in the pickle. It might not be such a bad idea for all of us, and laws change, and maybe things were fine last year and they're not this year. Is that something that Palm Beach County, I mean, is there a League of Cities? Is that something that I think they would do? Do you know?
I've heard of not identical but similar opportunities over time. It may not be specifically for a planning and zoning board, but I'm going to reach out to a couple different sources and see what they offer when they are offering different seminars or schedules of the programming. Try to see if I can get a comprehensive list, and maybe there's one that stands out to the board, and it's something that they offer a service where they can present in-house, and it's something that we have the budget to do. I'd say, why not?
Is it something like a regional planning council or business development board or one of those larger organizations?
I don't think either business development board or I'd have to look and see exactly what.
I think if I remember correctly, the League of Cities has some stuff like that. You might talk to Treasure Coast. They have some resources too, and they may do something with other municipalities, which we could, whoever would like to participate. The other thing is, back to some basics. I'm assuming everybody has comp plan and the LDRs and all of that stuff, and in their files.
Right, and then if you have internet access, you have all of those. So.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
We don't need a vote.
Just an amen, right?
Doesn't want to vote.